We live. What's good, everybody? This is King Ju here. I'm back at y'all with another episode of King Ju Talks. Now I know last week, I said that I would do a part two to my previous episode of suicide awareness. However, I decided to change it up because, like I said, when I first started this podcast, I didn't want to get really too political, and I felt like it was going to start going into that realm. So I decided to kind of scrap that and move on to another awareness topic. This being NICU Awareness Week NICU Awareness Month actually. Yeah, for the whole month. Yeah, but this episode is going to be titled Miracles in the Makings. We're talking about NICU awareness. And if you guys aren't aware with NICU, that is Neonatal Intensive Care Unit. Let me make sure I got that right. Yeah, neonatal. If I pronounced that wrong, y'all let me know. But it's neonatal intensive care unit. Now, you guys know I've said the story before, but I am a NICU parent. My first child was unfortunately, she had to go to the NICU for her first 2 weeks, about 18 days of her birth. And, to let you guys know that it's definitely not easy to deal with. It was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through as somebody that didn't really know what was going on. Also, as a first time father, I didn't know what the fuck to expect. I didn't think that my daughter would need the assistance of medical equipment to basically survive her two. Let me see. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't think she would need, the assistance of medical equipment to survive her first 18 days on Earth. And it was one of the hardest things that I've ever had to deal with. And what made it harder is the fact that I was actually holding her. And I mentioned some of this before in my previous episodes, and y'all can look at that as well. But I think what made it harder for me was at the time, my fiance, but she was still basically bedridden from having the C-section. And I was actually holding, my daughter when they told me that they needed to take her to NICU. So imagine that, a first time father actually in the process of holding her daughter, only to be told from the nurses that, hey, we have to take your daughter now. She needs extra help. We have to take her down to neonatal intensive care unit. So yeah, you guys can probably imagine how the hell I felt about that. Before I get started, or before I dive too deep into this, I want to read something to all of my NICU parents, and this video is going to be on YouTube. So anybody that sees this in the future, I just want to read something out to you guys, just as a kind of a pick me up. The NICU is loud, beeps, pumps, doors, and whispers. Hope is measured in grams, progress counted in seconds. You're starting at numbers while praying for calm. If that's you, then listen up. You're not failing, you're fighting. You didn't cause this, you're carrying it. Skin to skin, one breath at a time. One feed, one nap, one tiny win. This is NICU Awareness Month, and today we're lifting up our parents behind the glass, the midnight pumpers, the parking lot criers, the strong ones who still shake. We see you, and we are with you. Now, without further ado, sit back, grab a snack, and let's give our babies the strength to fight back. Now, basically, I think I'm gonna dive a little bit into a kind of what the NICU is. So, like I said, it's the neonatal intensive care unit. It's mainly meant for babies that come a little bit earlier than their term. For example, my daughter, her original due date was March 31st, Easter Day of 2024, but she ended up coming March 13th. So within that time frame, that 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, I want to say it was the second day that I had her, or maybe the third day we had her, that they had to take her away. The reason why they took her is, one, her weight. She was kind of small. I think she was 5 pounds, 8 ounces when she was born. So she was a little on the lighter side. She was still really, really sleepish. So she wouldn't really eat like that because, my wife, well, I'm gonna just call her my wife. My wife, she was on that. What the fuck is that damn thing? What is that damn thing? Epidural. That's it. Yeah, she was on the epidural. So she had all of that magnesium pumped up and, what have you. So all of that kind of got into our daughter's system as well. So with that being said, she was really, really tired. So she wouldn't eat. She wouldn't really do anything. And not only that, she couldn't regulate her body temperature like she really should have. Well, not should have, but she couldn't regulate her body temperature at that time. So take that into consideration: the body temperature, the lack of eating, and something else called Jandra. I think it's something like that. When it's basically skin discoloration, which I didn't give a fuck about the skin discoloration because I knew there's nothing wrong with her skin. Okay, the little marks on her body that you see is because she has neurofibromatosis type 1, which that'll probably be a future episode. But there was nothing wrong with her skin. But at the same time, I do appreciate the doctors at Oxnard Baptist, and I've always said this, and I appreciate you guys, all the doctors, the nurses, everybody that works there, the people that don't really get the recognition, like the maintenance crew that keep these machines up and going. All of you guys get my full appreciation because I can only imagine how hard your job must be. So yeah, those are the three things. Those are the really main three things. But the biggest thing was, I think, the lack of eating, which transpired to her weight. When she did gain the weight, of course, it was slowly, but it did happen. Now, it started with her having to barely even drinking anything out the bottle. So she ended up having to get what's called a gavage, tube down her nose. So that still got to deal with, the pictures of that in my fucking head. So that was one thing. That was kind of their way of not forcing her to eat, but still giving her body what it needed to grow and to gain weight and, to do what it had to do. Let me see. I'm gonna move on a little bit. That's pretty much that's the basis of it. Now I've seen other babies in there. I saw one child got, God forbid, wrong hand, God forbid. I saw one child in there with like oxygen tanks going down his nose and all kind of, well, not tanks itself, but needed the help of oxygen tanks to breathe. And I saw the baby, and then the fucking baby was probably the same weight that my daughter is now. That's how big that baby looked. Now, I don't know what happened. I'm praying that particular child is up and running now and healthy. But that's just some of the things that I saw. And I looked at that, I was like, damn, this shit is real. Like, it's no it feels like a fever dream that you just want to wake up from, but it's real life. Like, your child's hands are well, your child's life is in doctor's hands. And for first time parents, that shit is, it's hard as fuck to go through. Now for, parents that have multiple kids, it might not be as hard, which, salute to you if it's not. But I know for me and for my wife, that was probably the hardest thing that we've had to deal with. And we still think about this shit to this day. I still wake up, in cold sweats, nightmares from it, just hearing those fucking machines beep every 20 minutes, not even 20 minutes, like every 20 seconds, doctors coming in, like, it's not very easy to get over. But I'm gonna move on a little bit. I'm gonna list off a couple of facts that, people might not know, just to bring more awareness to neonatal intensive care unit. As you guys know, September is NICU Awareness Month, and this particular awareness month was created in 2014 by Project Sweet Peas, with September 30th being the actual awareness day. Another fact that I saw is that nearly 1 in 10 U.S. newborns, which is about 10%, are admitted to NICU in 2020, and that is actually a 13% increase since 2016. So yeah, that's a lot. Let me see. Okay, so yeah, 9.8% were admitted to NICU, and about 10.4% of U.S. births were preterm, which basically means, well, premature babies, preemies, if you will. That's about 370,000 babies being born earlier than they should be. That's pretty insane when you think about it. But it gets even crazier than this because they're 1.5 times higher to basically have a preterm birth than others. Think about that. It's so bad enough that, preterms happen already. But, you know, with black babies being almost double the amount, it's kind of, that's crazy. That's scary to think about. Many preterm babies, they stay until they can breathe, until they can feed, until they can hold their temperature, which again, like I said, that's pretty much the reason why my daughter was admitted. But sometimes it takes weeks, which in this case, it took 18 days. Sometimes it takes months. And it's usually near the original due date, which ironically, like I said, she was born on March 13th and she was released March 31st, which was her original due date. Ironic, right? So here's something that a lot of people might not have known is that kangaroo care, which is basically skin to skin, lowers the mortality rate for low birth weight or preterm infants. And it starts immediately, honestly, and it gives about 25% mortality reduction, according to what I've seen. So the skin to skin helps, guys. When doctors say do skin to skin, that shit really helps. So take off your shirts, strip your baby down, and just hold it. That's it. Parent mental health. About 40% of NICU parents show PTSD symptoms in the first month, and 25% report symptoms up to a year later. And research shows that both mothers and fathers can experience clinically significant anxiety or PTSD after a NICU stay. So yeah, I fall into all those goddamn categories. So just another word of encouragement, guys, when they talk about discharge, like don't just, and it's hard for parents to do, especially first time parents, but when the doctors talk about discharge, don't just focus on that particular day. Take it day by day because anything can happen. And if you focus more on the day that they're talking about sending you guys home, you it's gonna make your mental worse because you're gonna be thinking about, oh, okay, so as long as we keep on this day, we'll be home by this day. Okay, I'm ready. The human mind, we already make preparations. If we get a date in mind, a lot of us we keep that date. We don't think about any sort of changes that can happen or the unforeseen circumstances that can arise. So take it day by day, people. Take it day by day. Don't rush it. You know, it's a hard thing to do. It's very emotional to do, and it's gonna fuck with you mentally, like it did me, like I did my wife. But as long as you stay hopeful, do what the doctor says. Take as much time with your child as you need because trust me, that shit helps. Hold them as much as you can. Um, ask questions. Ask questions. That's what the doctors are there for. That's what the nurses are there for. If they're getting irritated with you asking questions, then they're not the right nurse for you. Ask any question you can, whether it be, what's the next milestone or how did my baby do today? What should I do as a parent? Ask any question you have, ask it because it's better to know it than to not know it. A little bit more on the parental grief or the parental feelings that pretty much happen. Anxiety. Sometimes we feel guilt, thinking that, something we did to cause this, especially, for my mothers out there. A lot of times, I know you guys like to think that it's your fault, which is not your fault. Take it from me. I've been through it. It's not your fault. It's, you did all you could. You carried the baby for 9 months. You know what I'm saying? As the due dates get closer, things happen. They just do. I mean, you might develop preeclampsia to where you have to have the baby early, or it can be a risk at, harming them. Different things happen. You just never know what's gonna happen. So you just, like I said, that's why I say take it day by day. And the more hope you keep, the more level headed you stay, the less emotional you are, which that's damn near impossible. So don't even let me judge you on that. But the less emotional you are and the more logical you think, or at least try to think, the easier it'll be. All things considered, because it's not easy at all. But at least try to make it easier than make it harder. Let's see, like I said, kangaroo care or skin to skin. That's a very important thing. And I would say learn the monitors that are in that room with you. I know this sounds kind of crazy, but kind of just glance at the monitor, just make sure everything is good. Because at the end of the day, the nurses are not in there 24/7. They're not in there as much as you are. So you have to, monitor it yourself as well. If you see something that looks off, call somebody, let them look at it. And like I said, it's better to be safe than sorry. You know what I'm saying? If the nurse is getting irritated with you, that is not the nurse for you. and celebrate those micro milestones that you have. If your baby gained a gram, if she gained a pound, an ounce, whatever, celebrate that. You know what I'm saying? Be happy about that. If they're drinking more, be happy about that. If they drink an ounce more than yesterday, that's fucking great. Because I think the typical ounce they want babies to drink about, it's 30 ounces, I think. No, it's not 30 ounces. What the hell am I talking about? It's like 1 ounce, I believe. Because yeah, it's about an ounce, maybe an ounce, a little more than that. That's typically the sweet spot that nurses want to see babies digest. But again, it doesn't always happen that way. So if your baby isn't taking that full ounce one day, that's okay. Babies, they're gonna develop in their own time. If I learn anything being in the NICU, that my daughter definitely developed in her own time. Celebrate that. Don't just be like, okay, well, we need to get more than that. No, be happy because they're making progress. As long as they're not going backwards, you're going forward. Simple as that. My phone tripping. Oh Lord, that sucks. Yeah, like I said, guys, the three questions you always want to ask is what changed? What are the next milestones? Excuse me. But when I say what changed, basically how is my child doing? What are the next milestones? And what can we do right now as parents? And most of the time nurses are gonna say that, you're doing good. Just do that skin to skin every so often like you can. Try to breastfeed whenever you can. My mother's out there, try to breastfeed as much as you can. I know sometimes that's not the easiest thing to do, but whatever the case may be. And like I said, try to think logically more than emotionally because emotions will cloud your judgment. Trust me, it happened to me before. They're going to cloud your judgment. If the nurses feel like, or the doctors feel like this will work, if you trust them, let them do it. It's gonna be hard. Trust me, it is. I didn't want them to gavage my daughter at first. With the tube down her nose. I didn't want that because I actually heard her screaming when they put the damn thing in her nose. Just walking out and just overhearing it. And that fucking scream is gonna stick with me probably for the rest of my life. I'm not even gonna lie. But yeah, the nurses they know what they're doing. Especially if you're at like a hospital like Ochsner Baptist, which is I think has been ranked number one in childbirth and child care for years now, or at least at the top for sure. I know that for sure. Just you know, keep your emotions in check as much as you can. Of course, let the doctors do what they have to do, and just think about it like this: the end game is going home with a healthy child. Sometimes the children don't always come out as healthy as they should be. And when I say healthy, of course, I mean weight, eating properly, maintaining body temperature. Those are the three most important things. If they're not doing that, obviously there's more help that's going to be needed, to meet that quota. But nobody's trying to hurt the child. The doctors, they do whatever in their power to make sure that, they're doing what they have to do. And like I said, y'all, it's hard as fuck. It really is. And I get that some people just don't know how to handle it. And at first, I didn't know how to handle it, but I had to learn really fucking quickly that I need to deal with this. I'm still a man in my family. I'm still a man in my household. So I still need to be strong for my own family, which, fuck, I can be good luck with that. I know a lot of us, well, I'm not going to really dive into that. I was going to say a lot of us still also have our own jobs. So sometimes we can't really check up on our child like we want to, but fuck the job. I get fired if it means taking care of my daughter. I don't give a shit. Um, Now, when it gets to the point where you're able to go home, the follow up and the aftercare and the home care is just as important as when your child is in the hospital. Take your CPR classes if you need to. Make sure your car seats are like they should be. Make sure your children are taking their meds. Make sure you're monitoring their food intake. Don't rush it. Don't force it. Let them develop at their own time. Don't try to make them drink more than what they can handle. If your child can only take an ounce and a half, stay with that ounce and a half for, a couple of days or so, and then gradually work your way up to 2 ounces, 3 ounces, 4 ounces, whatever. Um, yeah, feeding plans. And take care of yourself too, guys. Mothers, fathers, parents, you have to take care of yourself too. And I know it's hard to take care. It's hard to even think about yourself. As soon as you have a child, it's hard as hell to even think about yourself, let alone a fucking child that is in the neonatal intensive care unit. It's hard. It really is. But you have to take care of yourself too because your child depends on you. your child is gonna feel, when you're upset, when you're happy, when you're cheering them on, they know your voice. Your child knows your voice from them, they know your voice even when they're still in the womb. So whatever chance you get, take, go see your child. If you're in the same room with her, good. For us personally, we weren't even on the same floor as her at the beginning when we were still in the, I think, called the mother baby unit or what have you. So we actually had to go down a floor to go see her. So I made sure I went to go see her at least 3 times a day, because at the end of the day, it's still like, okay, I still have to take care of myself. The doctors still have to do what they have to do. I'm not going to be in their way. But at the same time, any chance that I got to go, see her, you best believe I was on that fucking elevator going to see her. Even if my wife couldn't get out of bed, I was still going to go see her, because I know she knew my voice. My daughter knew my voice. The moment when she was, well, I can see the moment she was born, when I grabbed her hand, she squeezed my finger. Or when I, put my finger by her hand, she squeezed my finger. She knew what the fuck was up. Like, my child ain't dumb by no means. Smart as hell. Bad as hell too. And for, let's see, I'm at 23 minutes now. Let's see. Do I want to talk about anything else? I think that pretty much covers all the bases that I wanted to really talk about. But another thing I want to touch on is friends and family. Now, friends and family, you guys are actually play a more important role. Excuse me. You guys play a more important role than you think, because you guys give strength to the parents. And in keeping their spirits up, it's a lot easier for us to keep our child spirits up, because, like I said, dealing with the emotions, the shit is not easy. But we have to take care of ourselves and our friends, our family that, come check up on us, come see our baby, whatever the case may be. That actually does help a lot. It really does. And it's definitely appreciative of the friends that I had that came to see us and that came to see my daughter. That's definitely appreciative, more than appreciative, honestly. Especially considering only a select few of them came. But we ain't gonna talk about that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I touched on the importance of NICU awareness. Don't want to make this too long today, because I've pretty much already talked about what I wanted to talk about. But I am gonna end you guys off with another pick me up, another little something that I typed up just to exit. And it reads like this: if you're in the NICU season, you're not behind. You're on your timeline. Your baby's on their timeline. Wins don't have to be loud to be legendary. 1 gram up, one alarm less, one quiet nap on your chest. Let that count. To the village, show up specific with things like, I've got dinner Tuesday at 6, no need to text back, or gas card, parking help, laundry run, childcare for sibling, or no at least speeches, just love with sleeves rolled up. And when I say that, I mean none of that, oh, well, at least they got this, or at least they got that. No, it's okay. Because when you say at least, you're basically insinuating that you're not where you want to be at and that you're not making good progress. Every day, any positive step is good progress. Don't let nobody else tell you otherwise. Like I said, as long as they're not stagnant, well, even if they're stagnant, it's not that bad. But if they're going backwards, that's when you be concerned. But at the same time, I will say this: remaining stagnant for a certain amount of time is also going backwards. So, you know, forward is always the best option. It could be a fucking half an ounce more than yesterday. That's still progress. So for the parents, ask these 3 questions on rounds. Number 1, what changed today? Number 2, what's the next milestone? And number 3, what can we do right now? Protect your sleep, protect your peace, and celebrate any small accomplishment. Like I said, y'all, this is just more on NICU awareness. This isn't really suicide awareness. Like I said before, when I first started, this isn't suicide awareness. This is more NICU awareness. However, shit like this can lead to other crises. You guys, I put the emotional crisis line on my last video. If you're not aware, it's you can call or text the number 988, and then they'll give you that help that you need. Because, like I said, it can lead to that. It's fucking hard to deal with. So, but guys, I'm glad. I'm appreciate everybody for tuning in. And I hope this helped anybody that may have a child on the way or has been through it before and wanted to talk about it or is going through it right now, you know. So, but with that, with all that being said, I appreciate y'all for tuning in and share this with the NICU family and let's be there for each other. Let's give our babies the strength to fight back so we can raise the next generation of great talent or great whatever they choose to be. Peace, everybody.